We'll start with Dickman condensation. Before we go into the second named reaction, yesterday we learnt about your Claisen ester condensation. So just a quick revision, this was your complete Claisen ester condensation where two molecules of a similar ester react and undergo a condensation product which eventually gives you a reactive enolate which undergoes protonation to give you ethyl acetoacetate in this case. This compound is also called as a beta keto ester. The reason it is called as a beta keto ester, firstly, you have a ester group here, so that's why it is an ester. And if you name the carbon, so this is your entire ester group. So this will be your alpha carbon, this will be your beta carbon. This is alpha carbon to the entire ester group. This is the beta carbon to the entire ester group. That is why this compound is also called as a beta keto ester. The critical step here was your irreversible deprotonation that actually drove the reaction ahead. I hope you remember that. So before we go into Dickman reaction, I would like to revise a little bit about these four esters in particular, which we saw yesterday. The common thing in all these four esters were none of the four have a alpha hydrogen. So none of these four will behave as a nucleophile. All these four will behave as an electrophile. So if you can see the line here, it is written the first three are more electrophilic than most esters. So they have written this four in the order of their electrophilicity. So this being the most electrophilic, after that this, and the least electrophilic is written in the last. So now can you guess why this compound will be the most electrophilic? Again, this compound can act as an electrophile both at two carbon centers, one at this carbon center, another at this carbon center. For it to be an electrophile, it can't be a nucleophile. Any of these four can't be a nucleophile because it does not have a alpha hydrogen. So it can only be an electrophile. This carbon can be an electrophile by shifting this double bond onto the oxygen. You will get a positive charge on this carbon, or you can shift this double bond on this, you will get a positive charge on this carbon. Both of these carbons can act as an electrophilic center. These are the most electrophilic because if you consider, say, this carbon being electrophilic among all the four being the highest electrophilic center, the reason being this carbon has two groups attached. One is your ethoxy group, another is your entire ester group. Both these two groups have inductive effect. So both these two groups give me minus I inductive effect, meaning both these two groups are going to pull your electrons away from this carbon center, making it even more positive, making it even more electrophilic. Whereas this carbon, again the same thing, there is a ethoxy group attached and there is an ester group attached, and there will be more positive center carbon because of the pulling from two groups minus I inductive effect. But there is also a chance of conjugation meaning this O has a lone pair of electrons. This lone pair can jump on this bond, whereas your O, the double bond on the carbonyl carbon can jump to the oxygen, due to which the electrophilicity can be reduced. The positive charge will be nullified. But because these two groups are very much high in their inductive effects, the net effect will be inductive, and these two centers will be highly electrophilic. We'll come to the second molecule, ethyl formate. If you see with ethyl formate, in ethyl formate, here R is nothing but H, that is the change here. You can see here, conjugation reduces the electrophilic reactivity. You can see the lone pair goes to this carbon oxygen bond, and the double bond goes to the oxygen, due to which the positive charge which should have been there on this carbon is not there. This reduces the reactivity, but in the same structure itself, the OEP, which is the ethoxy group, also has a negative inductive effect, which is minus I, which increases the electrophilic reactivity. So on the net effect, the inductive effect is slightly higher, and you will get your high electrophilic center. The advantage with this compound diethyl oxalate was there were two very different inductive groups which have a very high minus I effect. That is why the net effect was even larger, and it is the most electrophilic among the four. So ethyl formate has one ethoxy group that gives the minus I effect, due to which the electrophilicity increases. Let's come back to the third molecule, diethyl carbonate. This is diethyl carbonate. Again, this compound also has the conjugation problem. The conjugation problem will reduce the electrophilic activity, but again, it has two ethoxy groups. Two ethoxy groups will have two inductive effects, which increases the reactivity. Now the question could be, why is this less electrophilic and why is this more electrophilic? Ideally, ethyl formate is more electrophilic than diethyl carbonate. Ideally, there are two inductive groups here, so there should be more inductive effect here. Yes, there is, but there is also two chances of conjugation. Here there was only one chance of conjugation. So here the conjugation effect that reduces the electrophilicity is only having one possibility. Here there are two oxygens, so there are two possibilities. That is why comparatively this is even less electrophilic. Last compound is nothing but this ethyl benzoate. Ethyl benzoate is nothing but this structure. Again, it has a conjugation that can happen. The conjugation can lead to absence of positive charge on the carbon, making it less electrophilic. And another reason being there is a large phenyl group attached. So if this carbon had to be electrophilic, the nucleophile attack will be hindered because of the large size of the phenyl group. That is why among all four, this is the least electrophilic. Hope you have understood the order. This is the most electrophilic. After that, diethyl carbonate, and the least will be ethyl benzoate. If you have any doubts, please feel free to contact. We'll go back to your Dickman condensation. This is another type of condensation reaction with esters only. It is quite similar, almost 90% similar to your Claisen condensation. The only difference being, in Claisen condensation, it was an intermolecular condensation reaction wherein there were two molecules. The two molecules would be same or it would be different, cross Claisen or similar Claisen. Whereas in Dickman, it is going to be an intramolecular condensation. Intramolecular meaning you are only going to use one starting material. That one starting material itself will undergo rearrangement, intramolecular rearrangement or condensation, to give you a beta keto ester. Claisen condensation also gave you a beta keto ester. The Dickman condensation is also going to give you beta keto ester. The Dickman condensation goes very well when a 5 or a 6-membered ring is being formed. So this condensation reaction goes very well if in the end there is a 5 or 6-membered ring that is being formed as a product. The reason being the 5 or 6-membered is sterically a little bit more stable. That's why. So here we'll take the example of a diethyl ester of adipic acid. Adipic acid is nothing but raw material used in the manufacture of nylon. So adipic acid and the diester of adipic acid. So this is the structure, diethyl hexane dioate. This is the diethyl ester of adipic acid. If you can see, it is a 1,6 ester. 1,6 meaning if you start numbering from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is a 1,6 ester. It is a diester. So now this is going to undergo intramolecular condensation to give me a beta keto ester. This reaction is called as Dickman condensation. You only are going to have one starting material. There are not going to be two starting materials, only one. It itself is going to undergo rearrangement and condensation. So the mechanism goes this way. Remember, because you are starting and using only one reactant, this reactant now has to behave both as an electrophile also and as a nucleophile also. In Claisen, you had two starting materials. So one could use as a electrophile, the other could have been used as a nucleophile. Whereas here, because you have only one starting material, this compound has to behave both as a nucleophile and as an electrophile. So first step is nothing but, again, this reaction is carried out in the presence of sodium ethoxide as a base and ethanol as a solvent, same as your Claisen condensation. The first step, the compound should have a alpha hydrogen. Again, it is primary importance for Dickman condensation. The compound, the diethyl ester, should have at least one alpha hydrogen. So this is your first carbon. So this is your actual ester carbon. So the first carbon next to it is your alpha carbon. The hydrogen attached to it is called as the alpha hydrogen. So same like Claisen condensation, the first step that is going to happen is your ethoxide base is going to abstract the proton. While the proton is abstracted, the electrons that are left behind go on this carbon to carbon bond. The C double bond O, the double bond goes on to the oxygen. So you will get this kind of structure here. The double bond is here between C to C. This double bond has moved up on this oxygen and O will carry a negative charge. Second step, again, there will be a nucleophile generation and an electrophile generation. Here, pay attention, we cannot have two different reactants. We have only one reactant. That is why this molecule has to act as both an electrophile and a nucleophile. So now what's happening is I have drawn the same structure over here. The second step, the oxygen, the lone pair on the oxygen again comes back as a double bond. You can see here the double bond is back. The double bond between carbon and carbon has now gone and shifted to this alpha carbon. So this alpha carbon now has the electrons. Now this has become the nucleophile, whereas the other ester carbon, the other diethyl ester you had started with, if you remember, the other carbonyl carbon of the ester, now this double bond goes up, the O will carry a negative charge, and this carbon will now develop a positive charge. So now your electrophilic center is also generated, your nucleophilic center is also generated. So in a same molecule, in the same reactant, same starting material, now you have the nucleophile is also ready, the electrophile is also ready. So now the next step is quite easy. The nucleophile is only directly, the nucleophilic carbon is going to attack to your electrophilic carbon. So this is the third step. I have just written the structure again. This is your, I've done the numbering as well. Starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had told you it is a 1,6 diester. This second carbon has a negative charge. It is not shown here. And this sixth carbon has a positive charge. This second carbon is your nucleophilic carbon. This sixth carbon is your electrophilic carbon. So now 2 is going to attack your 6 and form this kind of structure, this kind of cyclic 5-membered structure. So if you can see the numbering, the first carbon is here, the second carbon is here, the third carbon is here, the fourth is here, the fifth is here, the sixth has now joined to the second. So 6 and 2 are now joined. So now this is formed a cyclic 5-membered ring, and on the sixth carbon there are two groups, O minus and OC2H5, ethoxy. So now this 5-membered intermediate is being formed. Now again there will be rearrangement. The negative charge on the oxygen will come back, forming the double bond here, and your ethoxide, the OC2H5 group will be removed, just like your Claisen condensation, exactly similar. The negative charge comes back, OC2H5 is removed, giving rise to this compound. This compound is also a beta keto ester. This is the ester group here. Why is it beta? This carbon is alpha, this carbon is beta. So beta has a keto group, so it is also a beta keto ester. Only difference between Claisen and Dieckmann. In Claisen, you may or may not get a cyclic structure. Normally, you get a straight chain structure, a beta keto, which is straight chain, ethyl acetoacetate. Whereas here in Dieckmann condensation, you are going to get a beta keto ester, but it is going to be a cyclic structure. Again, the same problem with Claisen condensation, because we are using ethoxide, it's a very weak base. It has to have some driving force. The driving force has to be irreversible deprotonation. So once your beta keto ester is formed, again the quantity is not that high because of the same problem that you saw in your Claisen condensation. The same thing is going to happen. Your ethoxide OC2H5 is going to abstract that proton that is present on the alpha carbon. That electrons that are going to be left behind are going to form a double bond, which is here, and your double bond CO is going to go on the oxygen, leading to this stable enolate formation. In your Claisen condensation also, you had a similar enolate formation after irreversible deprotonation. You can see here it is a unidirectional arrow. This is going to be your driving force. Last step, again, I need to make a beta keto ester. So again, this reactive enolate is going to be protonated using your acid workup, and you'll eventually get your beta keto ester back. So this was your entire procedure for Dieckmann condensation, the entire mechanism. It is quite similar, only change with Claisen is this is a cyclic condensation and it only uses one molecule of your reactant. So it is an intramolecular condensation. Don't forget that. So this is a animation of the same reaction. So the first step that happens is your ethoxide base comes in, abstracts that proton. While it abstracts the alpha hydrogen, it leaves a double bond here and the oxygen carries a negative charge. Then your nucleophile and electrophiles are generated. Then the 2 to 6 joining of carbon is formed. Then your ethoxide is leaving, giving rise to a beta keto ester. But again, there has to be a driving force. So the driving force is going to come by irreversible deprotonation. So here comes your ethoxide, takes out your alpha hydrogen and leaves behind a double bond O. And again, the last step, acidification or protonation using acid workup. And again, the alpha hydrogen comes back and you get your beta keto ester. So this was just an animation of your entire Dickmann condensation. Now this is an example, another example. I've taken a starting material which is a 1,7 ester. The reaction that we saw, the mechanism that we saw, we had used a 1,6 ester, diethyl hexane dioate. Here I'm going to use a 1,7 ester. So 1,7 ester is going to give me a 6-membered ring. 1,6 ester gave you a 5-membered ring. 1,7 ester is going to give you a 6-membered ring. I have written the mechanism. I've not drawn the mechanism. I've just written the product. In short, this is your reactive enolate that is going to get formed via irreversible deprotonation. And then last, you have your acid workup, eventually getting your beta keto ester. Only thing, the difference here, remember, with 1,7 ester, you will get a 6-membered ring. With 1,6 ester, you will get a 5-membered ring. So with this, your Dickmann condensation is also over. For both these reactions, Claisen condensation and Dickmann condensation, Claydon has very good notes. So I will send you the page number also on mail for both these reactions for Claydon, and I will also send you the PowerPoint presentation of Dickmann. Hope you have understood. If you have any doubt, please feel free to contact me. Thank you. And the last, I'm sorry, I just left one part here, was the application of this Dickmann condensation. The application here is Dickmann condensation is normally used to form heterocyclic ketones. Heterocyclic ketones, meaning, if you can see here, this is nothing but a screenshot of Claydon itself. If you can see here, they have used a diethyl ester, but it has a heteroatom attached to it, a nitrogen. This R could be anything, it could be H, it could be CH3, but it has an N. So it has a heteroatom attached to a diester. Again, it undergoes your Dickmann condensation intramolecular, giving rise to this kind of cyclic heterocyclic ketone, which has that heteroatom. This kind of reactions, these kinds of heterocyclic ketones are important intermediates for drug manufacturing. A lot of drugs that are used in your pharma products normally tend to have these kind of cyclic structures with heteroatom. For the manufacture of those kind of drugs, this Dickmann condensation is quite important. So this was one of the applications of Dickmann condensation. Thank you.